You were a skank!
What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here and Nina Cortex. She has not been confirmed for Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled yet, but let's face it, she will. I'll even call it right now, she's coming in October, right after Spyro in September. It's not that hard to predict. Anyways, this was a very highly requested one for me to do after I did Crunches and the Nitro Kart bosses. And I figured I'd hop on it now since those videos are catching a second wind in attention. Lots of views are piling up out of nowhere. Before we get into Nina's appearances in the game though, let's dive into some pretty interesting backstory. According to the Crash Twinsanity manual, Nina is Dr. Neo Cortex's beloved niece. I know in the game he seems confused whether she's his daughter or his niece, but here it just says niece. But regardless of what relative she is, she began to show disturbing signs of a kind heart. She loved cute and fluffy animals, loved to play with them, loved to hug them, and Cortex didn't like that too much, so he took off her hands and replaced them with robot ones. So that way she could no longer pet and hug cute and fuzzy animals without crushing them to death. Yeah, this is all true, look it up yourself. And after Nina's modifications were complete, Cortex shipped her off to his former school, Madame Amberly's Academy of Evil. So, yeah, Cortex, the uncle of the year, you don't want to be evil, he'll take your arms.
Get to work on the Doominator! Make more mutant soldiers! I want Wumpa Island smashed flat! Your hair is dumb!
Now, Nina's first appearance was supposed to be in Crash Twinsanity, but funnily enough, her first was actually in Crash Purple and Spyro Orange. Whoopsies! Thankfully, that's just a spin-off party game and not a main series title, so nothing in Nina's specific character timeline gets mixed up or anything. In Crash Twinsanity, she doesn't have much of a major role, she just helps Cortex and Crash stop the evil twins and save the world, and she remains mostly a silent character, having only one voice clip in the entire game, and it's not even a word. She also only has one level and one boss, her level being Rooftop Rampage, which takes place on top of the Academy of Evil, which could potentially also be her track when it ends up being her Grand Prix for Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Nina's level, while not featuring beat-em-up gameplay, still has a lot more combat than most Crash levels. She can spin and twirl like Crash, but she can also use her metal robot hands for attacks, stretching them out to punch enemies far away, or even using them as a grappling hook. And then her boss fight is just a small portion of the final boss and uses all those same gameplay elements. But after helping Cortex save the world in Crash Twinsanity, she and Uka Uka come to the conclusion that Cortex isn't quite evil enough to take over the world, so Nina overthrows him. Oh yeah, and Crash Tag Team Racing happens somewhere in between all that. But of course, evil never wins, and once Nina was defeated in Crash of the Titans, Cortex in the next game, Mind Over Mutant, took Nina out of Madame Amberly's Academy of Evil and stuck her in evil public school, turning her from a star student into a total loser. However, to get back at Cortex for doing this, Nina offered to help Crash once again in stopping his newest plan. And that's pretty much it. That's the last we've heard of Nina until she showed up in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled on some of the banners in Cortex Castle. So that's basically Nina Cortex. Hopefully it gives you a pretty good idea of why she's as highly requested as other characters like Crunch. In fact, she was probably the most highly requested post-Naughty Dog character besides Crunch. And that's probably because, like Crunch as a character, she has a lot of missed potential. She could have been something great. Don't get me wrong, they definitely did way more for her than they did for Crunch in the series, but it wasn't enough to reach that potential. I mean, just look at all her actions in the series when taking her backstory into consideration. How quickly she'd accept the opportunity to help Crash save the world, both in Twinsanity with the evil twins and in Mind Over Mutant when she wanted to get back at Cortex. And then there's how she overthrew Cortex in Crash of the Titans. I mean, she's definitely evil, the way she was raised, all she picked up on in the Academy of Evil, how she loved being a star student there. But it's also pretty clear that she is not fond of her uncle for replacing her arms. Perhaps she still misses hugging the cute and cuddly characters. A new future game in the series could possibly dive into her character, whether she still has a grudge against Cortex, why she so easily helps Crash. There's just so much potential there, and like Crunch, hopefully it gets reached soon. In conclusion though, I hope this video helped you to get to know Nina Cortex, and why so many people want her in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Can't wait to see her show up. LeopoldTheBrave, out.